Hi there YouTube, Extreme Trains here. In this video we're taking a look at one of the larger engines in the new rebooted Thomas & Friends Wooden Railway line. It is James, who I think is probably one of the more controversial reboot styled engines, at least that's what I have seen online, and that was certainly my feelings about him. But will they change once I've got him out of the packaging? Let's see, let's do it. Okay, here is James. Again, big picture on the packaging. Looks like he's the same packaging as Percy, which is to say that he doesn't have the little push tab on the back and won't have the advertising flyer in him, which is interesting to see. Yeah, this is all the same. They're all kind of the same now. Once you've seen one box, you've really seen them all. Yep, there's the barcode. Nothing super interesting to put on here. Yeah, except to say that it seems like this gap between the black and the red, or in the blue and the green in the case of Thomas and Percy, is intentional, which, if you ask me, is a little bit of a fail. But anyway, what are we waiting for? Let's crack James open and see what he's like. Okay, so here's James out of his packaging. Let's separate him from his tender. Oh, very magnetic, doesn't want to stay there, and take a look at James. So we'll do the quick 360. So James was a weird one for me because I felt like he was kind of fine as being a tank engine with a tender because of his size. And I know in the CGI series especially, James is a lot bigger than Thomas and Percy, even though originally he was not that big. Blah, blah, blah. See my Diapet reviews, for example, of that. But this one, yeah, this feels wrong to me. I'm not a fan. These wheels are just too much for James. From a side profile, like, they're like half of his body, which I guess is kind of true. No, see, it's not true of the Thomas and Percy. The size of the wheels is different. These are actually bigger wheels. And it's like, you know, a third kind of thing. Whereas this one, half of James's body is made up of his chassis, which I think is a bit... It's weird. It doesn't look right, especially all this blank space up the front here. I don't like it. In terms of, skipping ahead, in terms of the face, I think this is a pretty good face. I think the crow's lines on his eyes are a bit maybe overdone. But otherwise, I think this is a pretty good face. The other thing I would say is the face is too small. Like, his boiler is too small compared to the size of his running board, and compared to the size of his wheels. So yeah, the proportions of this are weird. Is this face better than the Thomas Wood face? Yes, by 1,000. But I actually think the Thomas Wood model actually makes more sense from a sizing and everything perspective. Looking at the details, though, we do have quite a long smoke box, which again doesn't make a heap of sense. We've got the detailing on the side here, the pipes. I like how they continue along. Again, rivet detailing. We've got the pistons, which, like, again, it's weird that they don't extend all the way. Like, if you're going to draw these on, why wouldn't you make it go all the way to the end? Because, like, this one doesn't even reach the last wheel. Neither does this one, really. So what is the point of that? What is that supposed to be? No idea. What is that supposed to be? No idea. Is that meant to be, like, the holder for his front wheel? That's weird. That's weird. However, better. These are better because you can see 1, 2, 3, and they broadly line up with 3 wheels. So I'm much happier with that. Yep, nice. We've got the cab light, again, painted. Nothing on the back, which looks more awkward for tender engines. But again, that's standard for Thomas Wooden Railway. We've got the separately fitted gold dome, gold lining on here, which is nice to see. Again, no whistle or any detailing like that up the top. Same on the other side. Flip him down to the bottom. You can see, again, we get the James, the Cloud. One thing to note is that all of this is plastic on, I assume, all the tender engines. So this bogie is plastic, the wheels are plastic. All of this is plastic versus these engines where this part is wood and then this part is wood as well, and it's just the wheels and the magnets and the coal and the head, the firebox, which is plastic. So these engines, despite being bigger and more expensive, do have more plastic on them. And again, you can see we've got a slightly different pattern on the wheels. It might be the same, it's just the colors are inverted. Yes, I think that's what it is, and it's a slightly different size. And then the front one is a different pattern, so that is a different wheel pattern. Or is it the same as Percy's? No, it's different again. So we're up to 3 different wheel patterns, which is interesting. We come to the tender. Again, I think the tender really highlights the issue with the scale. Like, you can see just how much space, like how high that tender rides up from the chassis is all kinds of wrong. Yeah, not a fan of that at all. I like, again, the details on the tender with the rivets. That's nice. The handrail only at this end. That's nice. The proper coal load, good. The proper shape, all good. And the James's tender, good. Again, though, this bottom bit is plastic. So even though it's a simple design, it's plastic, and it does really look weird. Like, it just sits so high because of the size of these wheels, which, again, I appreciate them wanting to line the bottom of the two bodies of the engine up, but yeah, Steamroller James is what I think of when I see this. So yeah, your mileage may vary on that one. The other weird thing, which I've seen discussed a little bit, is that there is a version of this tender which has 3 wheels in it, and that's the one that I think Gordon has. But, for example, James doesn't have it, even though his tender also has 3 wheels. Same as I don't think Rebecca's has it when her tender has 3 wheels. So it doesn't seem like they're super consistent with the wheels they give the tenders. Personally, I would have been fine if they gave them all just 2 wheels, and I understand they want to do it to show, Gordon's tender's bigger than James's. But it's just weird, and that empty space is not doing this tender any favors. I think this is an ugly tender. This and the Thomas Wood tenders are fighting it out for the really ugly tenders competition. I don't think it's clear which one looks worse, to be honest, because while this one's got the right shape, the scaling is way, way, way off. So in case you can't already tell, I'm not a huge fan of the way this James looks. So when you compare it again to Thomas and Percy, yeah, he's too big. So the problem that I had with Thomas Wood was the engines were all too small, like, compared to each other. Problem I have with this James is he's too big in that he's too long, but then his face is smaller than all of them. Yeah, it's smaller than Thomas's, it's smaller than Percy's. So, and it's never been like that. His face has been the biggest. So yeah, this is a miss for me. Do not like the James. I think it's a bit of a fail. So, what are my final thoughts about the Thomas Wooden Railway 2022 James? Look, so the pricing for this one, I paid about 30 Australian dollars excluding shipping for this. So again, reflecting that this is 20, is this 30? Well, if you think this is 20, then I think it's the price relative to the small engines is totally fair. Do I think it's overall that fair? Unclear. I'm excited to see Gordon, who I currently have. He's hoping going to be delivered sometime this week, because he looks like a much better engine, and so does Rebecca. I think Nia and James and Edward have got the short straw in terms of this new style. They just look a little bit weird. And I know, obviously, Thomas Wooden Railway and most Thomas lines have all required some level of compromise in terms of the way the designs look. But I just feel like the balance was better when they were smaller, and that could be a bias because I grew up with the original Thomas Wooden Railway where James was the same size as Thomas, just with a tender on the end. So maybe, this will be one of those things where people who didn't grow up with the original Thomas Wooden Railway are going to love this. They're going to love that James is, a big proper size and, has a bit of oomph to him. But personally, I don't really like this James very much. If you are a completionist or you want to collect this whole line, sure, go for it. But if you are just collecting the good engines from this that you want, I would say skip James, save your money, and get, I think, the AEG Push Along James, which I think is going to look better. And I haven't reviewed that yet, but that will be coming onto my channel very soon. So that's kind of my thoughts on the James. After 2 very good engines, we've got a not so good one. But I'd love to know your thoughts. I know plenty of people love this engine. So I'm keen to hear from all of you in the comments down below. As always, that's what we've got time for. Thanks for watching. It's Extreme Trains.